So first of all, kind of just tell me last week that game against St. Mary's, what was the biggest takeaway you had from your team on that one?
I thought we started pretty well, which is important. Got ahead early, and I think that ended up being a big deal because they came out in the second half, and we had a hard time, moving the football and couldn't get points. We had some big play breakdowns that points got taken off the field by some things that we did. So really important to get off to a big start. The defensive play in the first half, Colin Snow with two interceptions, one for a touchdown, and then he deflected another ball that Mason Snyder picked off. So, the back end of the defense playing really well and making plays and turning into points. So that's always a good thing.
When you talk about those things that maybe you want to clean up going into the next week, how do you go about addressing those in practice, this week?
Well, both sides of the ball, we're going to try to kind of tone it back a little bit and just focus on, some of the basics within the offense, some of the basics within the defense, try to get better at what we do. A lot of technique, improvement, a lot of, just little focuses here and there. The defensive line, trying to, better use with their hands, working on some of their fundamentals, the offensive line, working on pad level, working on keeping a stronger base on their run blocks, just a lot of little things that kind of can get lost throughout the year if you're not, if you're not more intentional.
Well, I'm curious, the growth you've seen from Brady Davidson. It seems like each week he seems to progress more and more each time we see him.
Yeah, Brady's man, he does everything to the best of his ability. The thing that I don't think is praised enough, and I'm not sure it really can be, is his ability to lead the people around him. We've spent a lot of time as a group, as a team together, really since December, and I can't remember him having one day where he didn't try to make those around him better. And that's probably the most unique quality about that kid. He's very focused on just providing energy for his teammates. And I think we all benefit from that. We are in the middle of the year, and he's bringing the same type of juice to the practice that we had August 12th. So he's obviously a very good football player too, so that helps things. He's got great command of the offense. He understands what we're trying to do and where we're trying to put the football, and couldn't be more proud of him.
Well, when you talk about what Coach Harrell, I know when I talked to you before the season started, you were excited about what he would bring. How do you think, everyone's adjusted to that offense, and what do you like that he's brought with you guys this season?
Coach brings a lot of really good energy. I think the kids really enjoy getting to hear his voice. He's up in the box on Friday nights, and I think there's been a kind of an adjustment for that with him not being on the sideline with them. He's a pretty commanding presence on the practice field, and he has his own energy about him. And so him being up in the box, I think early on was kind of a weird vibe for us. But the kids love him, and he's making us, I think, enjoy the camaraderie even more than normal.
When you talk about all the weapons that Brady has to use, he has a plethora. What does that do for your offense when you're able to spread the ball out that much? Maybe makes it a little bit harder to scheme for.
Yeah, it really does. We're coming off the heels of Dre having a really big night. He had two rushing touchdowns on Friday. Had a handful of receptions as well. Devin Holt can take a hitch and turn it into 60 yards and a score. You've got Riley Rolling that does everything as well as it can be done, and then we've got a lot of good backs. Cooper Myers doesn't touch the ball probably as much as he would in other areas, but he's doing so much of the grunt work for us. He might be our team MVP right now with what he's provided for us. And then when he gets the ball, he's a bowling ball running people over. Derek Young is kind of started to take steps to becoming more of a great runner for us. And the weapons kind of extend on down the line too. We've got a sophomore, Garrett Essner, that's a 6'5" tight end that's got really good hands, and he's a really big target, and I'm trying to get him more involved as well as some other kids.
Well, defensively, you got some weapons too. You look at Grayson. We talked to Elijah before the season started, and Cullen, just having a big game last game. When you have that many weapons defensively, how great is that for you guys too? Those guys showing up.
It's one thing to have the weapons, and then you have a guy like Ethan Smith that knows where to put those guys. Really excited about getting to watch him walk in, after a weekend to prepare for an opponent and asking him, well, what do you think? And he's just chomping at the bit to, unfold what he wants to do, week in and week out with his team. And, he does a great job. And those kids love playing for him. You didn't mention Spencer Irvin, who's a returning All-Stater as well at the linebacker position. He had a big game, saving or game ending tackle against a really good running back from St. Mary's on Friday. And we've got, really quality players at every level of that defense.
Yeah. When you have a game where, maybe St. Mary's comes back in the second half there, and your team's able to close it out and come out with that win, what does it say about a team when they're able to close those games out?
Yeah. You kind of take a deep breath and you realize that not everything went smooth, not everything was perfect. And as a coach, it's important to, kind of let the kids have that win and, let's address the miscues down the road, but really, really good to walk away from that one on the plus side of the win column. That's a very talented team. I think our kids were able to weather the storm. We didn't play perfect, but made some big plays when we had to. And that's, you got to win games like that sometimes. So we're glad we came out.
Mm-hmm. Looking at Battle, what stands out to you when you look at the tape?
They've got decent team speed. They're athletic in a lot of areas. They've got some size up front on both sides. What we've got to do is just make sure that we play a little bit cleaner. Felt like we left about 30 points on the field offensively last Friday against St. Mary's. We're just a small piece away, it seems like at times, from being a really good football team. But until we play a little cleaner, that's not going to happen. So it's not as much about, that team, down the road. It's more about what can we do this week to just be a little bit better version of ourselves. And if we do that, we feel confident.
I know you guys didn't cross paths. He was here before you started at Rockbridge, Matt Herman. But seeing what he's done so far with this team this year, what do you like that he's done to kind of change things around at Battle?
He's come into a tough situation, getting the job as late as he did. It looks like the kids have really, bought into what he's doing over there. You see a lot of kids smiling, a lot of kids having fun. I think that's really important. Getting to see those guys, across the way respond to that, and that's always big. I'm sure he'll have a even bigger impact going into the off season, having a chance to be with his guys, to prepare them, with the weight room and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure he's going to do a great job.
Well, I know the Providence Bowl is the big one, but how do you like these, intra-city kind of rivalries here, these crosstown kind of rivalries? How important are they to the game, do you think?
I think the kids really enjoy. They know these guys from playing them at the junior high level and that sort of thing. Being relatively new to it, and on my end of things, it's kind of just want to prepare to go out and be better, as a team. But I think the kids definitely are. They know those guys. They've seen those guys out of off the field, off the court, that type of thing. So they've got a little more familiarity with their opponent. That can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. But I think it's definitely a lot of fun for those guys.
Well, when we're getting into the home stretch of the season, that's pretty hard to believe. But, how important is it to kind of have those momentum, get those wins stacked up before you start postseason play?
It is important, I think, for morale. We probably, I don't want to say we've lost games this year that we shouldn't have lost, because I think that can kind of take away from what your opponent's done. But we've definitely lost some games this year that, we don't feel like we played our best in, and that's a tough feeling as a coach. You feel like you've let your players down. So I know, we've got a couple losses this year that I feel responsible for. I know my staff feels responsible for. So getting those wins going into the postseason, it's big for morale. It's big for buy-in. It kind of, affirms what you're doing within your program. And so hopefully we'll trend in the right direction here down the stretch, and we can put our best foot forward in November.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time, Coach. I'll see you out there on Friday.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.